Hey everyone, welcome back. I know a lot of you have been digging into Bitcoin lately, and particularly, you've been sending in some seriously interesting research about the whole shrinking Bitcoin exchange reserve thing.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic for sure.
Yeah.
We're seeing some pretty wild stuff, like Bitcoin reserves hitting lows we haven't seen since way back in 2022.
hmm
And on top of that, there's this massive wave of demand, and it's coming from a very specific part of the market.
Hmm.
So to make sense of it all, we have our expert here. Welcome. I think you're going to be the perfect person to connect all these dots.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. I think it's a really dynamic time in the Bitcoin space. And yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. Those Bitcoin exchange reserve, what's going on there?
Okay, yeah.
What's with this huge drop, and why is everyone more freaking out about it?
So, yeah, exchange reserves basically show us how much Bitcoin is actually ready to be traded, right,
Right.
on the exchanges. So when those reserves start shrinking, it tells us that something's changing in the way investors are behaving. And what we're seeing now is like a super steep drop down to 2.5 million Bitcoin.
Wow.
That's a level we haven't seen, like you said, since 2022.
Yeah.
And this isn't because people are like losing interest or anything. It's actually the opposite. It points to this strong hodealing sentiment that's kind of taken over the market.
Okay, so ho-dealing, that classic crypto thing, hold on for dear life.
Exactly.
But what's the thinking behind that?
So the people who are HR dealing, they're in it for the long haul. They're not looking for quick profits.
Right.
They believe in Bitcoin's potential, long term. And so they're holding on to their Bitcoin because they think it's going to be worth a lot more in the future. It's basically a bet on the whole idea behind Bitcoin.
I see, yeah.
And this trend is being like supercharged by this increasing use of cold storage solutions.
Cold storage. Now, for anyone listening who maybe isn't familiar with that,
Yeah, so cold storage is basically taking your Bitcoin offline. It's like putting it in a super secure vault, basically a hardware wallet.
okay.
And it protects it from hackers and all the vulnerabilities you get with online exchanges. It's all about making sure your Bitcoin is safe and that you're in control.
I got it.
It's about security over being able to trade it quickly.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And, while all this HO dealing is happening, we're also seeing this crazy growth in Bitcoin ETFs.
Yes.
You've got some pretty mind-blowing numbers about that.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty wild. We've seen over $41 billion flowing into Bitcoin ETFs just this year.
Wow.
And the pace is just incredible. All this institutional capital that's coming in, it's way more than the new Bitcoin that's being created through mining.
So hold on. We've got a limited supply because of the HO dealers, right? And the miners aren't creating enough new Bitcoin to keep up. But then, at the same time, demand from these ETFs is exploding. That sounds like a classic recipe for
It's supply squeeze.
a supply squeeze. Exactly.
You got it. It's like that economics 101 principle of supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
When demand goes through the roof and supply can't keep up, the price goes up.
Right.
And we're seeing some major players like Goldman Sachs. They're not messing around. They've upped their Bitcoin ETF holdings by a whopping 105%. So it's not just like regular people. These are like the big institutions. They're betting big on Bitcoin.
So that kind of leads us to the question everyone wants to know. What does this all mean for the price of Bitcoin?
Right.
Are we about to see a massive price surge?
Honestly, I think all the signs are pointing towards that, like all of them.
Yeah.
We've got these super low exchange reserves like we talked about. We've got the ETF demand going crazy. And the overall sentiment in the market is super bullish. People are feeling really good about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right now, Bitcoin's hanging out around $95,892. And yeah, sure, we've seen some ups and downs lately, but the market's been really resilient. It's like it bounces right back.
So we've got this perfect storm brewing, low supply, huge demand, and everyone's optimistic. It really does seem like Bitcoin could be headed for a big move upwards.
It does, yeah, but it's important to remember the price of Bitcoin, it's all driven by what happens in the market.
Right.
And yeah, all these things we're talking about, they make a really strong case for a price surge, but Bitcoin can be unpredictable.
Oh, for sure.
It's a volatile asset.
Right.
So, we can't say for sure what the future holds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So just to recap, we've got the HO dealers holding strong, tons of money pouring into ETFs, and this overall sense that Bitcoin is about to take off.
Yep.
It feels like we're at a turning point.
It's a fascinating time to be watching Bitcoin, that's for sure.
It really is. And for everyone listening out there, I think the big question is this the moment when Bitcoin finally becomes mainstream? Are we about to see huge adoption and a truly significant increase in its value? Or, are there factors we haven't even considered? Could there be unexpected challenges that might change everything? Those are the questions I want you to keep in mind as you continue to explore the world of Bitcoin. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been an awesome conversation. And we'll see you next time.
See you later.